For those that usually come to Summer PAWS, you guys know that on camping week, we usually set up my big, huge tent, and we have a little campfire outside, and we tell kind of scary stories. Not super scary, but kind of scary. And then we come into the PAWS room and watch some scarier type movies. And it's usually a favorite time for Summer PAWS. So, we couldn't do that this year. So we thought we'd set up our tent and we tell you one of our favorite stories. Now, this is a story that my grandpa used to tell my dad, and then my dad told me and all of the other kids. So if your parents went to Chamberlain Elementary School, they probably heard the story from Mr. Hargens too. So I started telling it to the PAWS kid, and everybody loves it. Now, if you're a kid that kind of gets scared, I don't want you to watch this movie. I want you to talk to your parents and see if they're okay with it. It's not that scary of a story, but it kind of is scary. So if you think you would get scared, please turn the video off and don't watch it. But this is the story of the Golden Arm. Now, this story took place in Chamberlain back about, probably 200 years ago, sorry. And maybe like 150 years ago. I'm trying to think of when it took place. More than 100 years ago. And, all of these, we see like lots of things in our town now. Those things weren't there. There was just maybe a hospital or a doctor's office, a bank, and a police station and a jail. That's about it. Groceries, and that's, there wasn't much. So, kind of in this area, there was a little cabin, and a little man lived in a little shack, and his goal was to find the treasure that was buried in Chamberlain. Now, a lot of people were coming west. They thought there was treasure in this area. So he knew that there was treasure, and he wanted to find it. So he went up into the hills. If you look up into the hills kind of over by the elementary school, he would go into those hills, and there were a lot more at that time. And one day he found a cave, and he knew this was it. This is where it was. And he went inside, and sure enough, back in these days, since there weren't a lot of people, bears lived in the hills. And there was a bear there, and he saw the bear sleeping. So he crawled in to get his treasure, and just as he was grabbing his treasure, the bear woke up and snatched his arm off. Well, the sad thing was the man didn't get his treasure, but he also lost his arm. So he went back, and he had just a little piece of arm on there still. He went back and he said, I'm gonna get that treasure. And guess what? He got the treasure. After 2 years again, he got his treasure, and he said, everybody asked, what are you gonna do with this treasure? And he said, I don't want anybody else to have it. I don't need anything. I'm happy and content and living in my little shack. So he goes, what I want to do with this, because I worked so hard to get this treasure and I lost my arm doing it, I want the goldsmith to make me a golden arm. So that's what he did. He took the treasure and they melted it all down and they made it into a golden arm. And that was his prized possession. But in this world, there's people that want to steal things. And if it was known, from a lot of thieves that there was a man with a golden arm that was worth millions of dollars, then of course they wanted it. So people would always try to steal his arm. So he would always sleep with his arm, protected. Well, one night he went to sleep and he woke up and the arm was gone. And he was very upset by it. So he decided, I'm going to figure out who stole my arm. He was a very old man, but he wanted to figure out who found his arm. And one night he died in his sleep. He was an old man and he died. And he never found out who stole his golden arm. And he was so sad about it. But they say if you go into the area where he lost his arm, you can still hear the sounds of him saying, who stole my golden arm? 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 You did! I scared Anna. I wonder if I scared you too. Anyways, of course, that's not a real story. It's just for fun. but I hope you got a good laugh out of it. Okay, enjoy. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.